The American political media loves conflict. They love division. They love rancor. It is a billion-dollar industry, and the level of conflict is about to explode because the Florida governor and political extremist Ron DeSantis, the book banner, the man who attacked the Special Olympics and the Walt Disney Company, and who is one of the great practitioners of culture war in America, will fire up his campaign to be the Republican nominee for president, and that will put him into direct conflict with Donald Trump. When Ron DeSantis announces his candidacy, in my view, he will be the front runner, and he will be supported by the heavyweight money inside the Republican Party, who is desperate to move on from the Trump era. Ron DeSantis isn't a great candidate, but you don't have to be a great candidate to win the Republican nomination. You have to be extreme enough, and you have to be tough enough to take on Donald Trump, who already destroyed one governor from Florida named Jeb Bush. It will be a tawdry, mean, despicable, disgusting event. For almost a year, American voters will see all manner of venality, stupidity, imbecility as DeSantis and Donald Trump seek to destroy each other in the pursuit of political power. It won't be World War III. It will be more like World War Stupid, but the American media will love it, all the while ignoring the events that could become World War III. They're playing out in Ukraine. They weren't talked much about at the State of the Union, and they're not talked about much on American television anymore. But the Russian army has reset, and the Russian army is prepared for war. The Russian army has amassed 500,000 men, 2,000 tanks, hundreds of fighter aircraft, mobile rocket launchers, and have readied their missiles for a broad attack on Ukraine. Vladimir Putin is prepared to show his commitment to the West. He's prepared to show that there is no amount of casualties, and there is no opposition that he is seriously worried about in Moscow. He is prepared to show that he will sacrifice hundreds of thousands of Russian young men to conquer Ukraine. The West dithers and debates whether the Ukrainians should be armed with the fighter aircraft they need to defend themselves from the Russian attack. The Republican nomination for president will begin in a trivial, small, and indecent way, but over time, the debate will change. It will become a policy debate. And the ascendant wing in the Republican Party on this debate will not be a majority faction. It will be a minority, but a loud one. And it will be the minority faction that supports Donald Trump through thick and thin. And what they will demand over the course of the campaign is a cessation of lethal military aid by the United States to Ukraine. This will have disastrous consequences for world peace. But it speaks to the political problem that Governor Ron DeSantis faces. All through this campaign, Ron DeSantis will be extorted. He'll be extorted by Donald Trump. And the threat is a simple one. Donald Trump may or may not run as an independent for president. Should he do so, that would fracture the Republican coalition and certainly elect whomever the Democratic nominee for president is. The problem for Ron DeSantis is he'll be extorted every day. And the one thing we know when it comes to Republicans who've been elected to office, Donald Trump's extortions work. And so the price of that extortion ultimately will be a demand that the Republican Party adopt an isolationist posture that is reminiscent of the position that Franklin Roosevelt combated, that Charles Lindbergh held in the days leading imminently up to World War II. These are critical hours in the world. There are two events that are just now taking form. The first is part of the early days of an American presidential campaign. And it will bluster and thunder and make all the noise, and the reporters will become excited about the great vituperations ahead. But across the world, not so far away, the Ukrainians are ready to celebrate their second year of war, a war of aggression, a war launched against their country by Russia, deeply aligned with Iran, part of a new axis that seeks to profoundly change the order of the world. The world is currently ordered by an American-led order. And that American-led order, though deeply imperfect, has led to 80 years of unprecedented economic prosperity, peace, and upward mobility for people all over the world. That's what's at stake. Peace, prosperity, and domestic tranquility. That's what the next presidential election will be about, not the banalities, not the trivialities, but the real issues, the life and death issues, the issues of war and peace that are very real and will begin playing out in dramatic fashion just a few days from now as the Russian assault commences anew, 1 year on in the war in Ukraine.